What's going on, everybody? You're watching Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. The first week of free agency is pretty much over, but there are still some really good football players out there, and the Giants still have some pivotal needs across this team. So we're going to go through the top, I believe, 25 free agents on today's show, and I'll tell you which guys make sense for the Giants to sign. At this current moment, the Giants have just $3.5 million in salary cap space, but with the flick of the wrist, by a simple snap, Joe Schoen could create an additional $25+ million in cap space. And Dan Duggan of The Athletic, in my opinion, one of the best beat reporters to cover this team, has mentioned that he expects for the Giants, at the very least, to restructure Andrew Thomas after Sunday, because that's when he has a roster bonus set in. And then he thinks Dexter Lawrence could also be a guy that they look to restructure. You do that with the $4 million you have, you're back up to about $30 million in cap space, and maybe you can sign one of the really good football players that are still out there. The Giants do have a need at that safety position. They let the 24-year-old Xavier McKinney walk out of the door. They have young guys there in Dane Belton and Justin Pinnock. Adding a guy like Justin Simmons would take this defensive backfield to another level. I'm just not so sure that he is going to be in the price range for the New York Giants. Not so sure the Giants are going to be all that interested in Tyron Smith. I wouldn't mind signing him to a one-year deal to be a right tackle, take the starting role from Evan Neal. But with the signings of Illuminor and Runyon, I think the Giants are where they're going to be at on the offensive line. Marquise Brown, still a speedy wide receiver out on the market. Giants could use another playmaker on the outside. I'm not so sure that they will pay those big bucks, and he's really not a player that I think that they need, as they already have him in a different body. His name is Jalen Hyatt, as well as Darius Slayton. The Giants already made a big move at the edge department with Brian Burns, and I've heard Chase Young is a player that they've had interest in. They were interested in him, but I think when you sign and make a move like they did, the magnitude of Brian Burns, that takes him out of the picture. Josh Reynolds, one of your mid-tier wide receivers, I would not mind at all if the New York Giants looked at Reynolds. I think he's been pretty productive, has had a pretty good career since coming out of A&M. Giants still need wide receiver talent. Reynolds could be that guy. The Giants only really have 3 edge rushers on this team, in Burns, and Thibodeau, and Ojulari. And Jadeveon Clowney just had the best year of his career in Baltimore. Could he come over to the Giants and do something similar to that? I'd be interested in it. Cheap, one-year deal, sure. I'm sure he would like to sign him for some more money. A lot of people have asked me about Mike Williams, as he was recently cut from the Los Angeles Chargers. I'd kick the tires. I'd see what he's about, but the injury history scares me. So there's some medical red flags there. But I still think he's a good player. Going to come down to the money, though, if he wants to be a New York Giant. Probably the guy that we've talked about the most, or talked about on today's show, Cameron Curl, is the guy I am most interested in. A safety for the Washington Commanders. In the 2022 season, he was ranked by Pro Football Focus as one of the best safeties in this league. I think he meets the Giants' price point, and right now, he may be one of my number 1 free agent targets that makes sense for this football team. Good player. He can pretty much do it all. I would really like to add him. Hunter Renfrow, recently released by the Las Vegas Raiders. Giants are kind of good at that slot receiver spot with Wan'Dale Robinson. I think Hyatt's going to play a little more in the slot this year. Did a lot of that at Tennessee, so I would pass on Hunter Renfrow. But what about Odell Beckham Jr.? OBJ or no BJ? Would you guys sign Odell Beckham? Type OBJ for yes. Type no BJ for no. Everybody loves a good OBJ, but it might be a little bit too late at this point for him. He was good down the stretch last year for Baltimore, but I don't think he's coming here with guys like Shepard and Barkley on the team. Giants already signed their guard, so I think Kevin Zeitler, once a Giant, always a Giant, is no longer going to be a Giant. I would love to go out and sign Stephon Gilmore to a one-year deal. The Giants need a cornerback. They need a guy that can really fix that side of the ball at the corner spot, so maybe they look to do that. Devin White, we were going to talk about him, but he was just signed by the Philadelphia Eagles. Andres Pete, another offensive guard. I think the Giants are good there. And the cornerback, Steven Nelson. He is someone that I think the Giants could be interested. I know it says OG on the screen, a little bit of a typo on our part, so forgive us. But he is a corner, and he is someone maybe the Giants could have some interest in. Make sure you are subscribed, though, because if anybody signs this football team, we're going to get you guys a video as soon as possible. Free, informative videos every single day. This week, it's been more than 3 videos every single day. No one's put out more content than we do. No one works harder than we do. Give us a shot. If you think we suck in a week, you can kick rocks. How about that? Subscribe. I love you guys. Trent Brown, offensive tackle. I'm good on him. Laken Tomlinson, former San Francisco 49er and interior offensive lineman, signed a big deal with the New York Jets a couple of years ago. I think the Giants are good there. Maybe they sign a cheaper guy. Not sure Brown or Tomlinson fit their timeline right now. Julian Blackmon, a safety, another guy I am interested. We've talked about the reasons why the Giants need a safety. I think Blackmon makes some sense there, so I would keep your eyes on him. Mekhi Becton, I'm good on that. I don't want another child potentially on the offensive line. Shout out to Eric Flowers. Xavier Howard, another guy I've really got my eyes on. I've always been a huge fan of his. His ball skills are incredible. He's not the sticky corner he once was. I think he had like 15 pass breakups one year, like 10 interceptions, led the league as well at one time. Xavier Howard's a good football player. I'd like to bring him to this team. And I think on a cheap one-year deal, similar to what we talked about with Gilmore, could make some sense. I'm sure he's trying to chase a bag one more time, but who knows? Connor Williams was the guy I was really, really interested in free agency. I like his ability to play center and guard. I think the Giants are already capped out, though, at that interior offensive line spot. Tyler Boyd, the big slot receiver from the Cincinnati Bengals, sounds like he is going to play for a new football team next year. Giants don't need a slot receiver, but I do think he has the potential to play on the outside, but I'm not sure the Giants would spend on Boyd. Jerome Baker, a linebacker out of Miami. Giants are pretty good at that off-ball linebacker spot with Bobby Okereke as well as Micah McFadden. Baker's a good football player, just not sure he's a fit for the Giants right now. Another safety I'm keeping my eyes on. Really keep my eyes, guys, on safeties and corners. Another corner as well as Adoree Jackson. I don't think he will be back with the Giants next year, but Fuller, I would keep my eye on him. I think he's a good football player. I think he makes sense. I think he fits this scheme, and the Giants always need to add more talented players at positions of need. And Fuller, he is just that for Big Blue. What do you think is the biggest need for this football team, though? We just went through 25 guys that maybe the Giants could sign. Biggest need left the Giants need to address in free agency. Give me a position. If I had to say 5 positions, there's the biggest needs overall for this football team. I still think quarterback is. I like Drew Lock. I don't love Drew Lock. I know what he is. I'm not getting my hopes up too much. I do think there's talent there. But long term, the Giants still have a major question mark there. We've talked about corner. I think a veteran right tackle that could put even more pressure on Evan Neal could make some sense. I still think there's offensive weapons that this team needs to add, and safety. Safety continues to be a big-time need for this team. I like Pinnock. I like Belton. I'd like to get another guy in there. Because also, Bowen likes to run those 3 safety sets, man. If you can get a hitter, Cameron Curl. Go give me Cam Curl. That's my guy right there. Make sure you are following me over on social media at @MarshallGreen_ on Twitter and Instagram. Hit the thumbs up icon on the way out. Subscribe if you're not, and hit me up on social media. We'll be back later with another video. Subscribe and let's go Big Blue.